They came from the Orion Rim, cloaked in banners of silver and flame. The Vora Dominion. 1,000 systems under their heel, their fleets a blend of artistry and brutality. They believed domination was nature's law, and they had never encountered a species that dared to question it until they found Earth. Humanity had expanded far, carving colonies among the stars. Not the grandest power, but persistent. Builders, traders, explorers. When the Vora arrived at the colony of New Kyoto, they didn't come for resources. They came for submission. The message was broadcast across every channel, every screen, every mind. Kneel, humans. Swear loyalty to the Dominion, or be reduced to ash. Resistance is disobedience. Disobedience is death. Governor Aiko Tanaka stood before the Vora envoy, a creature of scaled elegance and serpentine arrogance, and answered simply, "Earth does not kneel." The envoy smiled, a razor-thin curl of contempt. "Then Earth will burn." Moments later, the skies of New Kyoto turned to fire. Vora bombardment rained from orbit, each beam carving canyons of molten glass where cities once stood. 10 million souls died in a single afternoon. Their last transmissions were screams buried in static. The Vora did not stop there. They captured the survivors, forced them into chains, and made them rebuild the cities they'd destroyed. Monuments to obedience. They renamed the colony Servia, a lesson to others. When news reached Earth, the galaxy held its breath. Everyone knew what came next. Protests, diplomacy, negotiations. Humanity, the so-called civilized world, would condemn, then move on. But not this time. Mockery among the stars, the Vora Dominion celebrated. Their emperor, a being known only as the Seraph of Chains, addressed the conclave of lords. "The humans are broken. Their spirit is weak. They will bow, as all lesser species bow before strength." Laughter echoed across the chamber, a thunder of arrogance. They broadcast the footage of New Kyoto's destruction across the networks, calling it the lesson of obedience. To them, humanity was just another upstart species, clever, ambitious, but naive. They believed in rights, in sovereignty, words that meant nothing under the rule of Dominion. The Vora captains toasted to their victory. Fleets drifted through the void like peacocks displaying their feathers, each one painted with the sigil of conquest. The rest of the galaxy watched in uneasy silence. A few species whispered warnings. "Do not provoke Earth. They are not as fragile as they seem." But the Dominion dismissed them. "Humans?" One Vora admiral sneered. "They are prey that learn to build ships. We will remind them what it means to be beneath." They sent another ultimatum to Earth itself, a demand that humanity surrender its colonies, its fleets, and its freedom, in exchange for survival. When the message reached the United Terran Assembly, it was received in complete silence. No response. No transmission, nothing. For 7 days, the galaxy waited for humanity's answer. On the 8th day, the silence broke. The world that did not kneel in the great chamber of the United Terran Assembly. President Amara Holt stood before the holographic stars. Her face was calm, carved in iron resolve. "They want obedience," she said. "They will learn what humanity gives instead." Across the Sol system, dormant beacons flickered to life. The old war protocols, one sealed since the Jupiter Accords, activated in sequence. Vaults opened beneath Luna. Shipyards that had slept since the siege of Titan roared awake. The silence of Earth became movement. The Third Fleet mobilized from Mars' orbit. The Iron Banner dreadnoughts, ships older than most civilizations, emerged from stasis docks, their hulls still bearing scars from past wars. The transmission that followed was not sent to the Vora, it was sent to everyone. "To all who watch, the Dominion has murdered our people. They call it obedience, we call it war." The voice of humanity carried across the stars, deep and low like a drumbeat of approaching thunder. "We will not negotiate. We will not kneel. We are coming." And for the first time in galactic history, the Vora Dominion, the Empire of Chains, hesitated. The sky that turned to steel. The human fleet did not advance like an army. It advanced like a storm, 1,000 ships, warships, carriers, corvettes, moving in absolute silence. No transmissions, no threats, only the steady pulse of translite drives and the cold march of vengeance. They arrived at Servia, the renamed New Kyoto, in perfect formation. The Vora garrison laughed at first. The human fleet was small compared to their vast empire. One Vora commander even ordered a full bombardment of the incoming ships, as a demonstration. His first salvo never landed. The human dreadnought, Vigilant Dawn, fired a single kinetic round. A tungsten spear accelerated to a fraction of light speed. It pierced the Vora flagship like paper and detonated in orbit. The resulting shockwave shattered 4 additional cruisers. Then the human spoke. "This is Terran Command. You have violated the sanctity of human life. Surrender now or be erased." The Vora answered with weapons. Humanity answered with annihilation. The orbital battle lasted 11 minutes. 11. By the time it ended, the Vora fleet was gone, vaporized, shredded, or burning in atmospheric descent. The colony's sky rained molten metal for hours. When Terran Marines landed, they found survivors. Human slaves who had been forced to build monuments to their own submission. The Marines tore those statues down. They raised the flag of Earth above the ruins and broadcast one message to the Dominion. Servia is no more. New Kyoto lives again. The fury unleashed, the Vora Dominion responded with fury. They launched their armadas, vast fleets spanning entire sectors. 50 worlds were put on war footing. They believed humanity would crumble under sheer numbers. They were wrong, because Earth did not fight alone. From the shadows of forgotten alliances came others, species who had been enslaved or broken by the Vora centuries ago. The Talaran, the Hesh, the Vin, all joined under one banner. They had seen the humans fight, and for the first time, they saw a chance to be free. The coalition of the Unbroken was born. Human admirals didn't command from ivory towers. They fought from the front lines. Captain Reyes of the Aegis Prime led the siege of the Zareth Gate, a fortress world once thought impenetrable. His strategy was brutal simplicity. We don't take their world. We erase it, and they did. Planetary rail cannons fired until the crust split. Orbital bombardments flattened continents. The oceans boiled, and the stars turned red with reflected flame. The Vora called it barbaric. The rest of the galaxy called it justice. Every system the Dominion sent against humanity fell in weeks. Every fleet that entered Terran space vanished. No survivors, no distress calls. Only silence. The Seraph of Chains, their emperor, sent a desperate message to the Terran Assembly. "We acknowledge your sovereignty. Withdraw your fleets, and we will grant peace." The reply came from President Holt herself. "Peace is earned, not begged. We are not here for surrender. We are here for memory." The empire that burned, the final campaign, Operation Iron Tempest, began at the edge of the Orion Rim. The Vora homeworld, Veshar, was a fortress world surrounded by planetary rings of defense stations and weaponized moons. Humanity came with a fleet so vast that its arrival eclipsed the sun. Dreadnoughts the size of cities, carriers vomiting endless waves of fighters, warships bearing names carved from human legend, Retribution, Soul's Wrath, the Hammer of Mars. When the battle began, the stars themselves seemed to tremble. The Vora unleashed everything. Plasma lances, fusion storms, gravitic mines. It didn't matter. Humanity tore through them like divine retribution. The Vora's proud fleets, once symbols of galactic dominance, fell one by one, each consumed by flame and steel. The human flagship Valiant Sovereign breached the orbital fortress ring and unleashed its main weapon, a singularity lance. The beam punched through the crust of Veshar and ignited the planet's mantle. The world cracked like glass. The oceans vaporized. From orbit, the human commander whispered, "This is for New Kyoto." The Vora homeworld died in silence, a single blue flame burning in the void before fading to nothing. The aftermath of obedience. When the war ended, the Dominion was gone, their fleets shattered, their emperor dead, their worlds liberated. The coalition of the Unbroken dissolved, not in chaos, but in quiet reverence. Humanity did not occupy. They did not enslave. They simply left ruins as reminders. In the galactic archives, one entry remains. The Terran Retribution. A conflict lasting 89 days. Estimated casualties. Dominion, 1 trillion. Humanity, 43,000. 43,000. And 10 million avenged. In the centuries that followed, no one dared to threaten Earth again. Not because of treaties or fear of weapons, but because of what humanity had proven. They could forgive. They could endure. But when forced to answer violence, their fury was infinite. The lesson whispered in the dark long. After the Dominion's ashes cooled, travelers would pass by the dead system of Veshar. The wreckage still orbited in silence, a field of black glass and twisted metal. Every captain knew the story. Every navigator whispered the warning before entering Terran space. Never demand obedience from Earth. Because obedience was never in their nature, they were forged in struggle, tempered by fire, united not by rule, but by will. The Vora Dominion had wanted humanity to kneel. Instead, they taught the stars what happens when you try to chain the children of Earth. And across the galaxy, in every shadow and whisper, the same words lingered. The aliens wanted obedience and met our fury.